You guys, welcome back to Kind of Hot, Kind of Healthy. If you are new here because you are coming in for our guest, Madison, not to be confused with the co-host, Maddy. We are super excited to have you here today. Before we jump into the interview, we want to give ourselves a little intro. If this is your first time ever listening, welcome to the Kind of Hot, Kind of Healthy Club. Okay. This is an exclusive club only for the hot girls who want to be healthy too. I'm Allie. I am a fitness and nutrition coach for women who are overwhelmed and want to achieve their glow up. We make it simple, we make it digestible, and you are going to be the hottest, most confident version of yourself when you work with me. I guarantee that. That's a guarantee. You know, when you buy something, they guarantee, I got you, girl. Guarantee. And my lovely co-host, Maddy, again, not to be confused with our guest, Madison, but why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my full government name is Madison, but
Full
we don't do
government.
that. We don't do that here. But I am Maddy Martinez. I'm a women's health and fitness coach. I help perfectionists get lean and strong. So instead of doing a million things and trying to check off every single box of what you think you should be doing, we're going to simplify it and get you lean and strong without over I was to say without overwhelming ourselves. Not to steal Allie's thing.
She's
Um,
coming for my territory, you guys. I don't
no,
know what we're gonna
no.
do about this.
No, they're not overwhelmed. They just feel like they have to do everything because you're a perfectionist. And guess what? I'm a
Yep.
recovering perfectionist too. So we're gonna get lean and strong.
Shout out to the
Check.
recovering perfectionists in the chat.
Sometimes I am not recovering. Sometimes I am back with cancer of perfectionism. And then sometimes we're in chemo and we're good. It just depends on the day.
That was crazy. That was a
That
crazy analogy.
that was your dark humor for the day.
You're
Um,
welcome.
You're
Check,
welcome.
check.
But this is our guest episode. We do our second Wednesday. We drop a new episode every Wednesday. The second Wednesday of the month, we do a guest episode. And every other month, we're doing someone in the health and fitness world, which there is a plethora of people and our friends that we know in there. And if you are on our YouTube channel, you can go to the guest episodes playlist and listen to all of the episodes that we've had from 2024. But this month we have I would call her like my acquaintance, kind of a friend. I found her on TikTok because her name is Madison, and she teaches women. I don't want to, put words in her mouth, but teaches women. I don't know about men or not, but how to solo travel. So we're gonna introduce her. She'll be coming on like in 10 minutes or so,
Yeah.
but that is our second episode of the month. And then we do lots of other things, whether we do deep dives, we're covering some pop culture, but we like to make health fun and not like two gym bros here telling you, like, eat less food. Right now, we're not about that. We go deeper than that. And me and Allie do this because we love helping women, we love serving women. And we want to do this more often. So when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, when you share it with a friend, that helps us be able to grow and meet and reach more women who need to hear this. So yeah,
Yeah. We, at this point, we do it for the love of the game. All right, you
love the
guys, we
game.
are here bringing you just honestly information that's going to help you feel empowered, help you feel seen. This is a space where if you're having a bad day and you need a laugh, you can come and you are going to laugh because we take ourselves seriously, but then we also don't take ourselves too seriously. We love what we do, we're
Mhm.
passionate, but we like to make this space fun, entertaining, but also you're going to walk away learning something. And that's honestly the vibe, you guys. This
Mhm.
is the vibe of the podcast. Again, if you're new here on YouTube, we also do exclusive extended editions. So there will be a playlist that you can also find extended cuts or bonus episodes. I can't remember how I have titled it, but it is one or the other. And there is a playlist specifically for that. So not only will you get the whole episode, like let's just say it's episode 66. I know I just did an extended cut. If you were listening to it, you'll just get a portion of it. But if you're on YouTube, you'll get the entire portion of it. So it's fun on YouTube. You get to see our faces. I personally love watching podcasts on YouTube because it
Mhm.
feels you get to develop some sort of dynamic. Like you're
Mhm.
working from home, or you have your morning coffee, you've got your podcast on, you've got your coworkers, right? We are
Yes,
your
we are
coworkers.
we are the ultimate coworkers. You may laugh, you may cry, but you'll have a great time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing and crying constantly, and I'm here for it always.
Yeah, 100%. Before we dive into the interview, is there any updates or anything? I know we're recording this January 31st. This comes out in March, so a little bit of a lag here.
Yep. I think just to keep it like, I don't know, real. Wedding planning
Mhm.
is really stressful and I am sick of it.
Mhm.
I am very we do something called the hot list of hate, you guys. This is on my hot list of hate.
Mhm.
People not responding to inquiries or not responding to messages after you have paid them. I have given you a significant amount of money and you're taking a while to respond to me. Now I'm irritated. Now I am feeling frustrated and to not unleash my Karen because that and honestly I don't believe it's going to get you anywhere. You need to be polite, but you can also be diplomatic. Like you can give them
Mhm.
the business but be polite. I count to 3.
Mhm.
As Nene Leak said, I count to 3. I call my therapist, me. Um, but I had to fight tooth and nail to get an answer from somebody. And it ended up being like, oh no, we can't guarantee a room block because it's a busy time, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you couldn't have told me that months ago. You look at the calendar, you know what's coming up. So, peace and love. We've moved on to a different hotel. It's totally fine. It's just, it felt like an effort in futility. I was like, I've wasted all this time, but it's fine. I've got an answer. We've moved on. Then I'm trying to pay the 30% deposit. I'm giving you a lot of money. And I'm like, are you sending me an electronic invoice? What is happening? I do not want you to use the card that I put the deposit on. I want a different card, putting it on a credit card to get some points, pay that shit off, get the points, hack the system.
Yep.
And they're not answering me. So now I'm texting, I've emailed. I am like crazy person. They answered a text message faster than the email. So we're just going texting. No more email for you. This is a texting and I will take screenshots. It's fine. So I
Mhm.
will be getting that taken care of, but it is just really frustrating because this is the part where people I feel get stressed out with planning is not the event itself, but trying to communicate and deal with people that are in this industry. And sure, they're busy, but so aren't we. And I'm giving you money. You need to make time to answer a message. So
Mhm.
today we've got it all sorted out. I had a bit of a moment. I called James and I
Mhm.
was like, you need to be handling communication because I'm gonna lose it. And he's like, I got
Mhm.
it. And then the guy literally texted me back 2 minutes later, and I was like, he must have heard I was gonna go crazy. But
Oh.
it's fine. It's honestly, there are worse things that could be happening. It's just frustrating. And this is the
Mhm.
space. If you are going through some frustrating shit, we get it. Drop it in the comments and we will sympathize.
Literally. Yeah, that's like the one thing I feel like I can't remember who I heard. I think Alex Hormozy, which is a entrepreneur, and he said when it comes to giving like when you are working with a client of any kind, like any industry, this should be
Sure.
used in the industry of wedding planning for sure, is to always communicate a longer delivery time and then execute faster. So like
Yeah.
they should have said like, "Oh, if you should get a response from us within X amount of hours and then do it faster." Like I feel like I always like when someone just signed up with me for a nutrition assessment with a check-in and
Yep.
I'm very upfront like you will at most it will take a week to get this back to you. And then usually I'm faster and then they're like, "Oh, yay, excited. They got it faster." Um
Yes.
but with that, like that's a lot. Wedding stuff is so much more, and you're like, you want this to be so great. So yeah, that's really annoying. Like I hate when things are not punctual. Like, ma'am, I just gave you a lot of money. Like,
And it's not even about necessarily big asks. It's responding to an email, and it's been a week.
yeah.
And I have followed up now thrice because you say the payment date is January 28th and you haven't answered me and it's January 31st. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know what's happened. So I had to get down to the business, but it's fine. We're in a good place. I have a
Mhm.
very pretty spreadsheet that I write when did I last follow up? Have I heard? And
Oh,
everybody else, all the other vendors that I have been working with have been very punctual. So I'm like, you know what?
love.
It's fine. It's all working out. So yeah, I'm trying to center myself and come from a place of good energy today. But it's on my
Mhm.
heart. It's sitting right here today, and I am not happy about
It's okay. You're doing good. You're
You know what?
doing
I'm excited to talk about travel and just like
mhm.
envision like beautiful vacations.
Mhm.
I'm excited for that. And I know you're going to be here like taking notes about like solo traveling.
Oh my god, like I am. Like that's
Yeah.
all. I haven't planned my. I really want to do Christmas next year in
Like
Europe.
2026.
No, 2025.
So that Christmas this year.
Yes, this year. The idea started last Christmas, so
Okay.
in my mind, I was like, next year.
Yeah.
I do want to do that this year, but I'm just kind of like getting settled now. So I'm like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
we can like wait a little bit. But we have our trip
Yeah.
coming up soon, so
Oh, you guys. Okay, weird little fact, but if you haven't listened to the pod before, Maddie and I have never met in person. We've never stood next to each other. It's so weird because we talk every single day and
literally.
we share like probably more things than you would anticipate. It's like there's no off limits, there's no filters. We are here, we are doing it. And we've never met, which is odd because it's like, oh, you would think you guys are like,
Mhm.
I don't know, it just seems weird, but that's how the world works. And I'm so fascinated by it. So Maddie is gonna come in person. She's gonna stay at my house. I hope she doesn't kill me. Um,
Why would I kill you?
or she's afraid I'll kill her. One or the other. I mean, who
Probably.
knows?
I'm afraid Armin will kill me.
No, yeah, that's my cat. He's crazy, but he's a good boy. You can probably hear him right now. But we're gonna meet in person, and if you guys love the dynamic of this right now, you are going to be obsessed with the content that we do and we're together.
Oh my god, we'll probably shoot like 5 episodes
We
within
really
like 2 days.
should, really should, because that is just so exciting. Um, I see Madison has joined the waiting room. Is there anything else you want to just kind of update on anything going on before we get into the interview?
I don't have any hot list of hates. I didn't
Mm.
write any down, wasn't thinking about it. I'm just so
Yeah,
full of love right now.
I love
Um,
that.
so yeah, I'm ready to jump in.
All right, awesome, you guys. We will be jumping right into the interview.
So welcome. I almost said Maddie. Welcome,
I
Madison.
go
Do
by
you go
that
by
too.
Maddie ever?
I
Oh, you
do.
do?
It was like
That's
throwing me
funny.
off when Allie was saying, "How do you?"
Oh, yeah, I only go by Maddie. I like
Okay.
never use Madison. But
Okay.
welcome, Madison. We're super excited to have you here because I've been creeping on you for a while on
Girl,
TikTok
I've
because
been
I just
keeping on your stuff. Like it's always so helpful. So,
oh
your
thanks.
stuff.
So why don't you introduce yourself because you're always going to do it better than us and kind of like how you got into solo traveling.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Madison Rolley. You might know me from TikTok or Instagram. My whole platform is built off helping people travel more without breaking the bank. But a fun fact about me is I also travel full time and I do a lot of this solo. Like right now, I'm in Costa Rica and I'm completely solo. And so we'll get into that. But I do that through not only content creation, but also working a remote 9 to 5 that's based in the UK. My degree's in software. So like, I know how to code. I'm a marketing girly now, but my whole career has been
Mm.
a software career. And so I still do that. I'm still really passionate about it. Um, as far as getting into solo traveling, that started as early as like age 19 when I desperately wanted to study abroad. So I'm from like not small necessarily because people are like, Flagstaff's not a small town, but Flagstaff, Arizona, which is a very rural town. You have to drive 2 hours to go to the Phoenix airport or the 3.5 to go to Vegas if you want to fly anywhere. So it's a place that you can feel very trapped. And I always kind of felt that way. And I always knew I wanted to see the world. I had cousins that were older that studied abroad. And so that was like already kind of in my thoughts and plans for myself in college, and it was something I really wanted to make happen. And my very first solo trip was to Los Angeles. It was a day, like a day in and day out trip. Like I literally went in and I flew out that night because I had to go get my visa for studying abroad. And that was my
Oh.
first intro. So I was terrified, you guys. Like I was just little 19-year-old me. And my mom was like, no, you got to go by yourself. If you're going to France by yourself, you got to go by yourself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I had the best time. I made a day of it. So like I went to the consulate for my appointment, and then after I just kind of had a whole day to like hang around Beverly Hills because that's where it is. So I went to the Greystone Mansion, and if you guys haven't been, it's fabulous. Definitely
Mhm.
worth going to. And I got my nails done on Sunset Boulevard. I felt so like extra and like girly, and I felt so confident. And then a few months later, I flew solo to France. I did it with a third party. So that means I
Mhm.
didn't go with my school. I didn't go with anyone I knew.
Oh,
I
wow.
also took Spanish all through high school. I grew up speaking Spanish, like because of Arizona, a lot of people speak Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Why would I ever need to learn French? Studies abroad in France. So but that's kind of what introed me to the world of solo travel. And I did that even with like a 5-year relationship. Like I
Mhm.
and like friends, I had just joined a sorority, which like, we're friends because I went my first semester freshman year. I went like right after all
Wow.
my college friends and just was like, bye.
Wow.
If you remember me. So it was, yeah, it was definitely
Mhm.
an experience and one that I think has shaped a lot of who I am now, for sure.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy. Wait, so you said you went third party. So you didn't go
Yeah,
with the school. You found like a
no.
group that was going?
Yeah, so I did go to my study abroad office at the University of Arizona where I went. And they basically said in order for my credits to line up, the best program was going to be kind of like an exchange. So basically,
Mm.
I went to a international school in the south of France, and I basically
Mhm.
just exchanged for a semester rather than going with a teacher, going with
Oh.
other students from U of A. There were actually ended up two students from University of Arizona, but I didn't find that out
Mhm.
until I got there and I didn't know them. Um,
Mhm.
so it was definitely like a really interesting experience where you're just kind of thrown in with a whole bunch of students from the United States, but it's an international school. So you're going to school with people from everywhere, people, a lot of French people. That was also something that was really interesting was the going to school in a different country dynamic because well, the school you did speak English at school. They were supposed to. Sometimes they didn't, and it stressed me out. Um, but school like there like that level of education was free, and so it was really
Wow.
interesting
Yeah.
to because I was paying, and it's something that I saved up money. I worked multiple jobs in order to be able to fund myself to go. But it was very interesting to see like treatment of like teachers, and like it was kind of like high school where people just like weren't caring or paying attention, and it was such like a
Oh.
weird dynamic
Mhm.
for me. And like what I'm paying for my education, I'm gonna like pay attention. So that was, I mean, it's a complete side note.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, like, and a culture shock in that way. Oh, and they have 15-minute smoke breaks and 3-hour classes. So they would literally plug in a smoke break, and people like you'd have an 8 a.m. and you'd
Yep.
walk to the door, and everyone's just chain smoking, and I was like, what is going on?
Oh, that's so
Real wake
weird.
up call, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
super.
when you went, where were you living in France when you went to school?
Yes, so this is something that's really interesting. I was in the south of France, so I was very spoiled. It's kind of like
Oh, so
curious.
Whoa.
beautiful.
The town I lived in, which is different from the town I went to school in. The town I lived in was called Antibes, which is so beautiful. It's right between Cannes, for like Cannes Film Festival and all that,
Yeah.
and Nice, and Monaco's like right on the other side of Nice. So I kind of
Hmm.
had that whole world accessible to me, also at a very young age, very interesting. But
Mhm.
then where I went to school was actually an hour by manual transmission bus. And if you've never been on a manual transmission bus, I do not recommend it, especially if you get car sick. To a place called Sofia Antipoli, which is a little bit more in the mountains, and it would actually like snow. So it was really interesting because
Wow.
I
Ooh.
was at the beach in the town that I lived in, and
Yeah.
then we'd go like an hour to where school was, and sometimes it would snow in the winter. And in the background of my town that I lived in, you could see the French Alps. It was the most beautiful thing to be able
Oh,
to also see the French Alps in the background. It was picturesque, definitely worth looking up.
I
Oh my
gotta
God,
add
that's
that to my
awesome.
list.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
add it to your
For
list.
real.
My my one of our friends, she lives in Nice and she came over to Boston to do a study abroad here.
Okay, so
And
like
it was just so funny because she was coming from such like a beautiful place and then to like I mean, Boston has some parts that are good, I guess, but I'm like, just the visual aspect. I'm like, wow, you are leaving. Like, you left such a beautiful place to like
the
come
weather.
here,
Yeah, the
and
weather.
just her experience here, and just like explaining like her experience back home, and then we went to go visit her and different things. It was just like so cool, like how study abroads allow you to meet all different people and forming different connections. And so, do you have connections with people that you studied abroad with still?
I do. I'm still close with one girl who now lives in San Diego. Actually, it's funny because she was in like fast forward post grad, she was in, I believe, New York and working a job she didn't love. And I get a message from her. My first job took me to Los Angeles. And she's like, hey, like I've been seeing you're traveling and blah, blah. I think I'm just gonna like come out for a month and work remote and test out San Diego and like Santa Monica, Venice. I was like, heck yeah, girl, come do it. And so she actually came. We hung out a ton. I got to meet up also with someone that was living in the area from our study abroad trips. So it was kind of a reunion.
Oh,
And yeah, so we definitely, I think, a lot of us keep in touch. I mean, with those kind of programs, people tend to like split off, find their travel buddies and the people they hang
Yeah.
out with the most. But yeah, so we got to meet up, but I do try to like kind of keep in touch. But it also was like we were 19, like I'm such a different person now. So there's like I think all of us are kind of in our own world at this point that it's like, oh, we'll follow each other on
Mhm.
Instagram, but like not many of us I don't think are like super close from that trip anymore.
right. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, because 19, you're like you're a child. And then to
Yeah,
like
literally maybe.
you feel so grown up and then looking back, you're like, wow, I was an actual baby. That's so crazy. Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm loving all of this so far. So you're doing content creation right now. How
Yeah.
did you like bridge the gap to figure out, okay, I'm doing solo traveling. I'm loving this. I'm having these experiences to documenting it, right? Because it's different to just
Yeah,
document it to make this
yeah,
something that like a part of you. It's like what you're doing. It's a career move.
totally. So that's actually a really interesting question because I was living in Los Angeles at the time. Let's take it back. I've always kind of been interested in social media, marketing, content creation, but we weren't really calling it that. Like, for
Yeah.
example, my parents owned a candy store in my hometown, and like I was the one that like set up their Instagram in like 2016 before businesses were really like local businesses
Mhm.
were really using Instagram as like a
Yeah.
marketing tool. So that's always been interesting to me. I wouldn't say that like for example, I downloaded TikTok in 2020 like everyone else, and I my first viral video was like a skit video of me moving to LA, and it's completely silly, and you can go, it's still on there, you can go look at it. Completely unrelated to travel. I wasn't really like as people say, and I hate this phrase, taking content creation seriously, but
Mhm.
I had no
Right.
direction with it, if that makes sense. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to go to, I don't know, like it's just fun. And so I moved to Los Angeles for my first job. It's COVID, everyone's kind of locked down. I created an amazing group of friends that also moved out for their first job at the same company. As things start opening up, and you're allowed to start traveling, I start getting, those like email notifications that I like to share on my platform of like cheap flights that are coming up for that week or that month or whenever. And one flight in particular came in for Italy for under $300. I kid you not.
Oh.
And this is 2021, so I had to be like all vaxxed up and everything like that. It was like
Yep.
thing.
Uh-huh.
But I also had to do that to exist in LA anyway. We won't get into it.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm I'm gonna go to Italy. And I did, and I spent 2 weeks there working remote. It was amazing. And I came back and the friends that I had made from that first job, I was in a different job by that point. But the friends that I made in the first job ended up being my roommates. A lot of them, we all still were really, really close. And they kept asking me, like, tell me the website again that you're like you were able to find the 300 flight, your dollar flight to Italy. And I was just kind of got sick of telling them the same thing and then like asking me over and over because they kept forgetting what
Mhm.
it was called. And I was
Yeah.
like, so it was really interesting though. I didn't really make any videos. I was just trying to figure out like how could I like communicate this to them so I could just like send it. And it kind of came to me, ironically enough, when I was leaving LA. I had decided, you know what, I'm working remote. I can go anywhere. I love LA, but like I can go anywhere. So I moved to Nashville. In the middle of that move, I had stopped in Flagstaff because it's along I-40 and that takes you straight to Nashville from LA. And I stayed like for a week, just like with family and stuff like that. And I'm going to Sedona, which is real close. And I know I'm naming a lot of locations, so sorry if you're getting a little lost. But I'm driving down to Sedona to meet up with a friend, and I was sitting in very standstill traffic because during the summer, during the busy seasons, Sedona is very popular, and there's kind of only one way in and out on both sides of Sedona. Like you have to kind of go
Mm.
into this valley. And so I'm stuck in traffic, and I was like, TikTok. Maybe I can make a TikTok video because I think someone had texted me about it, and I was just like, I can't keep telling people the same thing.
Yeah.
So I make a TikTok video teaching people or just telling people about this, platform that I use. It was called Mellow Travel, still is called Mellow Travel. There's a few other services like it. And that you could find really cheap flights for pretty much nothing, and it was completely free.
Mm.
I thought it was something that a lot of people knew about, especially like I think I learned about it when I was studying abroad. So it was something that had been in the back of my head for a really long time. And I post it, think nothing of it. The next day is the day I'm moving to Nashville. My mom's getting the U-Haul with me. And I wake up to a like 1M notification on TikTok. And I was like, what? Like I kind of like panicked. I was like, what the heck? And I look at it and I had like, well, I think it was at that point like over 500,000 views. It was like my first ever like really viral video.
Yeah.
30,000 followers that day. It was insane.
Wow.
And I went from like 300. Like it was just kind of an overnight thing. And it was kind of a wake up call. I remember I went down to my mom, who was enjoying her coffee on like our porch, and I just like started crying because I was so shocked to
Yeah.
have people care so much about something I really care about because I've always been
Mhm.
such a passionate traveler. It's always like made me so upset when people are like, "Oh, you must have mommy and daddy's money or must be so rich to be able to go travel."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "But I don't. I work really hard and like I find cheap stuff."
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I realized how many people didn't have access to this information about how to affordably or even just travel smarter. Like there's certain things that you can do in order to save money that you would have unnecessarily spent on the same thing. So yeah, I really decided in that day that I was going to start really taking content creation seriously on, travel educational content. That kind of followed with once I started traveling full time, and a little bit before that, just trying to showcase more of my travels. But definitely the vlog style did not come first for me. I still find it like I don't want to. I'm like, who cares about me? Like I'm like, I just want to give you guys good resources.
Mhm.
So that's something that I'm trying to still be better about, but that's kind of like my content creation or getting into it
Yeah.
story. Always had
Mhm.
the interest in social media as like a business opportunity, but never really saw where it fit in my life. And until it was like put in my face, like, no, this is this is what people want to
Yeah.
get from you. And it's been amazing ever since.
Yeah, I think that's when I found you because I still am signed up for email notifications from one of those travel. But the
Yep.
crappy thing is there's never any flights out of Pittsburgh, so I would have to
Oh
fly
yeah.
to like Philadelphia or,
Well, you should
across
do specifically going. It's an app, but you can
going.
set your
Going.
specific airport for free with that one.
Oh.
So yeah, that one I really like. If you have a little bit more of a regional or an airport that doesn't really see a lot of those deals, that one's like really great, and they'll like it's a little bit different than the email notifications because it's like an app on your phone, but
Mhm.
they'll push notify you when it's a little
Yeah,
cheaper.
I'm adding that to the list.
Yeah, that you're already here dropping like helpful
It's just
information.
like living rent free in the
Yeah.
back of my brain. It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
sure.
just like make a TikTok about this. Like like talk about
Literally.
it on the podcast. I shared this because honestly, there are so many people that are wanting to do what you're doing and they don't know how to make it happen. They
Mhm.
see you doing this and they're like, "Oh, wow, I wish I could do that. I have no idea where to start." And that's that video
Absolutely.
that really was the catalyst was probably so eye-opening to people. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I didn't
And it was
even know I
eye-opening
could
to
do this."
me because like I didn't realize how much people didn't know. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like it was to
Mhm.
me that was such a simple tip to share. It's
right.
like
Mhm.
I'm just sharing about this free website. Like guys, I like broke their website. I kid you not. And so many people that went to go sign up because it's like there are really these free resources out there. There's ways you can travel for
Mhm.
free. Like for example, you can go like house sit at someone's house and watch their pet. It's called Trusted House Sitters, which is like literally getting a free Airbnb stay, sometimes at the most luxurious places.
Mhm.
And
I
so
sent Allie some good ones in France. I'm like, I
yeah,
need to
yeah,
go here.
yeah. Like there's some really amazing software services out there. And I'm a software girly. And I just want to like be able to share that because it's if there's a way to travel for cheaper, you should absolutely do it. Like if it's something that sounds interesting and fun to you, like house sitting or maybe maybe hopping on one of those like flight deals that are a little bit more spontaneous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think people have such a like I was talking to someone recently and she was like, "Yeah, one day, when we get the opportunity, we'll finally take like our trip to Italy, like our once in a lifetime." I'm like, "Once in a lifetime?" Like it
Yeah,
does not have
like
to be like
that
once in a
is such
lifetime.
yeah, that's such like a mindset thing. I think it's a
Mhm.
very like
Boomer.
American mindset, honestly, like a
Yeah.
9 to 5 corporate, because that's
Yes.
a lot of the narrative. And that's honestly kind of how my mindset was when it came to traveling before I kind of learned my own tips and
Mhm.
learned how to solo travel and learned that it didn't have to be super expensive. I always thought
Mhm.
like we took that one like family vacation a year or we have
Mhm.
that one big trip and like we go all out, which is so fun. Like there those trips like if you're splurging and you're going to the luxury like those are really fun too and that is a specific way of traveling but it's also not the only way to travel and I think
Mm. Mhm.
people don't really realize that there's like other methods where you can still like for example I travel full time. I'm in a hotel. I'm not staying in hostels. I'm not backpacking. Like whatever is in your repertoire and your budget and whatever you feel comfortable with, there's something where you could kind of probably workshop being a little bit smarter with your
Mhm.
travel approach. But I think it's just a lack of understanding or being educated or understanding that
Mhm.
mindset of like maybe following the deal rather than really planning that one location that like also everyone wants to go to. So it's gonna be super expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was talking to my mom last night or something, and I was saying how she has like I think a month of vacation now because she's been at her company for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why don't you like it's on Trusted House Sitters, you can have a co-sitter with you. So you could have someone also like on your account and you have to have like reviews that you're like a trustworthy person. I was like, wouldn't that be fun if you were a co-sitter with me and we went to Italy or went to,
Yeah.
wherever? Because you have a month off from work. Like, why not? But you have to be, like, just willing to do it a different way. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you've probably seen them, but on TikTok, there's people that are backpacking and staying at
Yeah.
hostels.
Yeah.
It looks scary.
I've done
There
it.
was
I've done both. I've done
oh,
it all.
are they scary?
I you know what? Yes and no. So I think there's a narrative, there's 2 narratives when it comes to hostel like travel. And I think the one that gets highlighted the most is when you're paying like literally like 17 bucks a night and you're staying in like a room full of 20 people and open cots and it's just like
Yeah.
I feel
Mm,
like because of the shock factor, it's what gets pushed out a lot more on social media. There's
yeah.
Yeah.
a fabulous website. Think of it like Priceline. It's called Hostel World. You can go, you can read
Hostel
reviews, you can
world.
see all the pictures, you can get privates. People don't realize hostels, you can
Yeah.
have a hotel room. Like you can literally, you don't have to do
Ah.
the bunking. There's also female dorms. That's usually how I would do hostels is I find one that looks to like my standards personally. And then I find a female dorm. It's usually like 4 to 6 women. I feel really comfortable doing that. I really actually prefer hostels sometimes when I solo travel because a lot of them like have bars or excursions or stuff, and it's like amazing way to meet other solo travelers. And there's like hostels that are genuinely fabulous. Like sometimes they're like
Mhm.
nicer than some hotels I could afford, quite frankly. Like they're there's two spectrums of hosteling, and one is just like absolutely fabulous, but you don't really see that all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, and the other one
Right,
is
yeah.
like there's like piss and
It's like,
shit
yeah,
in the
you're like
corner.
living in Outback or something. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Um,
because like obviously that type of content is gonna do way better because it's that
Yeah.
shock
yes.
value. And then that gets out there and people are like, "Oh, I would never do that." But
Yeah.
we've stayed at some places that we've either done private, and it doesn't feel any different. I think again, what your main thing you're hitting on is just like people don't know what they don't know. And so if you're out here showing these awesome experiences that you've had, it gets to like rewrite the narrative that like you don't have to do it where you're staying at this like disgusting rundown place where you don't feel safe.
Totally.
That's another thing we want to hit on. Like, what is one of the moments where you had that you're as a solo traveler, as a woman, where you were like, holy shit, that was like scary or really unsafe. And now that I'm on the other side of it, maybe I can kind of laugh at it.
Oh, I fear I've had so many. And that's part of solo traveling. That's part of traveling.
Yeah.
You're going to be faced with like things that you would not be faced at home. Maybe
Mhm.
Yeah.
like that's just so out there. I, going back to my first experience studying abroad, I'm reaching the end of my trip. It is literally a week before the end of my trip. My passport gets stolen on the plane. I get stuck in London for like a week and a half. Um, because I needed to get a new passport and the embassy was closed because they were like changing locations. It was like a
Oh
whole thing.
no.
Oh
I'm
my
like
gosh.
stranded. And my mom always says this to this day. She's like, why didn't you call me? And my answer is like, what could you have done? Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
can't, in those situations, you can't call mom. You have to kind of form this like, all right, got to figure it out attitude. Like, that's the only option. Like, if you break down and you're not getting anything done, it's not going to help anyone. It's
Mhm.
not going to help you. So yeah, I had to like navigate getting a temporary passport. I had to go back to the States because I was on a visa, and obviously like because I don't know, something happened where like I had to go back to the United States. I couldn't go back to France where I was studying abroad. So then they had to ship
Okay.
stuff back. Again, it was the last week of my program, so it really was not a big deal. I just took my finals in the US. It was whatever.
Oh
But
my God.
it was a lot. Yeah, like I've had quite like a few moments. I also think I don't know. I think also like I've had a few moments, but I also have been really lucky in my solo traveling. And not maybe lucky, but I'm very cautious when I solo travel. I, do all the safety tips of like, don't tell people you're solo traveling when you meet them. Like, and or don't tell people where you're staying, or don't go to secondary locations with like people or like a person you just met, like especially like a guy if you're a woman. Just you kind of being smart, making sure you're not over drinking. Like if you go out,
Mhm.
because I'm in Africa for like a good time. Like I still will go out and like that's how I meet people, but I'm very particular and cautious about how I operate when I'm solo traveling versus how I'm operating in the States. Not to say that you shouldn't also operate with caution even in your hometown, because like I think that's also when your guard's down because you're in your hometown, that can also get you in some of like the worst situations. I think a lot of my bad solo situations actually happened in places I lived more than it happened um when I was traveling, because I think my radar's
Mhm.
on a little bit more when I'm traveling personally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your like three favorite places you've been so far?
Ooh, that's always like the hardest because I like go to so many different types of places, so it's hard to compare.
Mhm.
I think Santa Teresa, Costa Rica, where I am right now. This is one of the most amazing
Mhm.
places. I was here last year around this time. I came back this time for even longer. I will probably keep coming back because I adore it. It's a surf town. You get a lot of people are from literally all over.
Mhm.
Coming here to surf, coming here to connect with wellness, coming here to make friends. It's amazing. And then let's see. I think after going back to Antibes or the south of France, I adore the south of France. I feel really
Mm.
comfortable there too. Also, these are places that people speak amazing English. Like, and if they're not speaking English to you, either they really don't know, but usually it's like they just don't want to speak English to you. And it's always something that you should do is like learn at least a little bit of the language just to be courteous. Like start with the local language and then be like, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
From there. And then let's see, final place. to visit recently for me, and I know this is like maybe a hot take, but it's in New York City. And maybe it's because I go there on a lot of work.
Mm,
I'm actually about to go like sublet from a friend for like 3 weeks to test it out from like
Nice.
perspective. But I think as a small town kid, there's something about the like hustle and bustle of city life, having literally
mhm,
everything at your fingertips. It's very different than the small towns I just described. I like a
mhm.
little both. I like a little bit of city travel, a little bit of small town travel. It's really hard for me to like when people are like, "Where's your favorite place?" I'm like, I have no idea. Like I
Yeah,
genuinely, and I'm a Gemini. I like the two vibes. I like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, I love small town and let's just vibe and get my mental health like just feeling fabulous. And then I love to just be thrown in the chaos at the same time. So
Mhm.
it's always hard.
Have you been to Mexico City yet?
Not yet. I really want to go. I've been,
Oh my, you would love it. There is so
oh,
much to do. I cannot wait to go back and I'm probably going to do a trusted house sitter stay there. There's a few, not a ton, but my grandmother, my family lives in
oh my God.
Mexico, and it's like
Yeah.
I think her 80th birthday maybe next year. So I'm going to probably try to go down. I think you can stay 180 days on a visa or without a
Okay.
visa, sorry. So I was like, I'm just gonna stay for 180 days and like just
Yeah.
stay at my grandma's and then
Might
stay
as
in the
well.
city.
That'd be so fun.
Hmm.
Exactly. And there's a few
I
houses
love
on
that.
there, but
That's,
Mexico City is beautiful. There's so much to do. The food is freaking insane because
I
people
have
come
only
all
heard
over.
fabulous.
Yeah. And then there's just like there's a park. And
I
I want to
love
say
that. I
it's
love like holding.
yeah, the park they have there, I want to say is 3 or 4 times bigger than the park in New York City. What's that one
Central
called?
Park.
Yes.
You're like that like small park and you're
It
and
is
Tiny
small.
To
little.
preface this, Maddie has never been to New York,
No.
um, which
I'm going in
is
March though.
It's
that's
a lot to
amazing. Like you're getting it out of your system, which is so funny because you I mean, you live on the East Coast, so like so do I. So I think it's like a natural jump to just like that's where we would go on vacation and just like it was quick. It's 4 hours, blah blah blah. And so I'm
Mhm.
so excited to have you experience this like as adult Maddie
Mhm.
to I don't know, it just like it feels really like it's exhilarating and to like have you experience like from your small little place that you're living right now and I don't know, you're gonna love it.
I know, I'm
Small little
excited.
park. That was the
But
side thing,
it
which
is.
makes me laugh
Okay.
because like it's not small.
Yeah, but to put into perspective, the park in Mexico City houses a huge ass park, a
Yeah.
zoo, the castle of the 7 or 9 boys, I can't remember, and the president's house. So you tell me which one's bigger.
Oh, there is a zoo in Central.
Yeah.
Does it have a castle?
I used to
No,
go to
I will
school
say,
with, sorry, I used to, Mexico. I used to go to school with the president of Mexico's daughter. I don't know when he
Oh, that's
stopped being,
cool.
yeah, it was,
that's crazy.
yeah, I don't really, if I looked up their last name, I would know when, but it was
Hmm.
kind of like on the hush hush. There was like security and like all these like different things. It was like
Oh.
it was pretty wild.
That's insane.
Super weird.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I have a
That's a
few.
cool
Or go
fun
ahead.
fact.
Yeah, but I will okay, speaking of fun facts, and then we're gonna Maddie has another question. I know she's
I
chomping at the
do.
bit. Madison goes, "Oh, I'm from Flagstaff, Arizona." And I go, "The only thing I know about Flagstaff is Sister Wives." And people, they know if you're listening to
Yeah.
the pod, you know I'm going to talk about Sister Wives because it's been on for 19 seasons. Who has been sat the entire time? Me. Is it boring as fuck? Yes. Do I need to like scroll on TikTok while I'm watching it?
No.
Yes. But I was just dying at your little fun fact. But oh man. So the world is so small if we really think about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so funny because they moved. Oh, sorry. I think I'm lagging a little bit. They moved to Flagstaff after I had already left, but it was like a whole commotion that they were moving
Yeah,
there,
I'm
and
sure.
it was like a thing.
That's so funny. Oh my God. Okay, Maddie, did you want to get back to what was your question again?
Okay, well, I have Three questions. One, about Costa Rica, because you're there right now. The last time I was looking into going, the transportation from the airport to wherever you're going, like even just the driving time, is it all really shitty there? Because I'm like, "Ugh, I don't, it's like a 5 hour drive, like for most places. Did you get that? Or were you like somewhere, are there places closer?
It depends.
Mm,
Yeah, it depends. There are, if you're open to it, little puddle jumpers, and that's what I used to get where I am, 'cause otherwise it was like a 5 hour drive. It might have been the sketchiest flight of my life. Like there was no separation from the cockpit. It was a very small propeller plane, but it was really
uh-huh.
cool. It was definitely a little sketch. But yeah, I mean, there's some really fabulous places. You could fly into the Liberia airport and go to Playa del Coco, which is like
Mhm.
30-40 minute drive. Like it's really not that far. Um, and then San Jose, you have quite a few places that are more a little jungly, I believe, and surrounding it. But yeah, it can
Mhm.
be depending on where you want to go, especially like where I am, Santa Teresa. It's either like a 4 or 5 hour drive, or you take a kind of sketchy puddle jumper. There are a lot of regional planes though that like connect, but they're those kind of
Mhm.
sketchy little dinky planes with a propeller on the front, and that's it.
Oh, that makes me nervous. Okay, I was thinking we were looking at that before, and then I was like, it's gonna be we're gonna have to spend a lot of time driving, and I'm like, I
Mm.
can't be sitting in the car for 5 hours.
It's
But good.
yeah, it's somewhere that I would really recommend picking a place and like staying in your place. Like I
Mm,
wouldn't, it's not, at least for me. I mean, so this trip around my parents and brother, we came out for his like it was his grad party. He just graduated college. So
oh,
we did like
good.
a little family trip for the first 2 weeks of me being out here, and we went to near Playa del Coco, which we like basically landed and were able to just be at the resort like immediately. It was lovely. And then we went to La Fortuna, which was about like 4 hours, but I will say, even though yes, it's a drive, it's gorgeous. Like it is like one of the most scenic, like it's kind of an
Mm.
adventure in itself. So I think if you take it with that lens, I didn't really have a problem with it. I wouldn't do it the night you land. You know, like after your travel day, like I
Yeah.
Mhm,
wouldn't then
mhm,
get in the car and go maybe find somewhere nearby if you want to then go to somewhere else. But I really
mhm.
liked how we did it, and then it was like really not an issue coming back, and then you just like get on the plane and you just like sleep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Because you've been to so many places, what is your, I guess you could say, hack for always having the correct currency? Because, like, when I went to Mexico last and I was there for 5 weeks, I went to the bank and got my currency exchange because they have like a really good rate and they don't, jip you off like if you were to get your currency exchange like at the airport or like in the country.
Yeah.
What do you do wise, like with, do you have a specific card or how do you do that?
Yeah, so I do have a travel credit card. It's like a Chase Sapphire, which they don't do international transaction fees. So
Oh,
having
nice. Okay.
a travel related credit card, and specifically
Mhm,
looking for ones that don't have those international transaction fees. So typically
mhm.
I don't really deal in cash. Some places only deal in cash. So that's like a completely different
Mm,
situation. I also, especially like, for example, Central America, in Costa Rica, they prefer that you use dollars and then they'll give you
Hmm.
colones back.
Hmm.
So understanding that, so say like for example, I told my family I was like, hey, they really like to deal in dollars, and then they'll give you colones back. But instead of waiting till you get there to take out money in the United States, and ahead of time. And then honestly, like if it's, for example, I have to get euros, I just go to the ATM. I'm not gonna lie, like I just take eat the
mm,
foreign transaction fee. I know it's gonna be a part of the deal. I know there's probably better ways to do it.
mhm,
It's a convenience thing for me. I'm like,
mhm.
okay, I need money,
Yeah.
gotta go to the ATM. I think going to the bank ATMs, really important. There are, especially maybe in Europe, I know I ran into this a lot in Croatia, was there were certain ATMs that had really spiked foreign transaction fees that were like, it was
Mhm.
the ATM kind of scamming you, ripping you off. So
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
sure either asking locals which ATMs you like. I remember the taxi driver was like, only go to the yellow ones, like don't go to the other colored ones or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I always love asking Uber drivers if they speak good English. I kind of ask them for like the 411 of like things to look out for. For example, like in Greece, you do not take taxis, you only take Uber.
Oh,
Like,
why?
very important because you can get scammed by the taxis. So, or at
Oh.
least that's what I was told. And
Mhm,
just those little stuff that maybe you don't realize, things like taking your Uber, getting your ATM, try to
mhm,
ask your Airbnb host, try to ask the hotel concierge, whatever your housing situation is. Just I like to ask locals wherever I can. Obviously read Reddit
mhm.
threads, but it will not only save you money, but it will also kind of keep you out of potential dangerous situations as well.
That's actually a big thing in Mexico City. So their taxi cabs, I think they used to be, I can't remember what color they used to be, but they started changing them because I think it was maybe all white or all whatever it was. They changed them to the top is white and the bottom is pink, and it has like the actual number on it, so you won't get scammed. Because my aunt was, she said she was just like, she used to own a couple of coffee shops in the city, and she said she was like, she lived down there too, so she was a couple blocks. She's like, oh, I'm gonna take a cab, I can't talk, cab. And she was like, and she saw the fake cabs, and it's literally like someone just spray paints it white and pink, like you can tell. And she's like, it's fine, it's a couple blocks. So
Yeah.
she got in, and then he charged her like 3 times the amount, like of the distance.
Mm.
And she was like, that's not the right amount. He took
Yeah.
off while she's in the cab because she was in a fake cab. And so she was
Yep.
like, stop, stop, it's fine, it's fine. And then she paid him and then she got out. So yeah, we always took Ubers when we were in Mexico City because
Yeah.
they're
And
rampant.
that's so to the listeners out there too, I think a lot of people really relate that to specifically like foreign countries and having to be aware of that kind of thing in foreign countries.
Mhm.
I have had many friends, and I have even been in a situation in Nashville, Tennessee. Same thing. The yellow cabs that park on Broadway, do not get in them. And this is something that like I see a lot of TikToks about. People like don't get in them or they tell their story. I was like with like a guy friend. We were coming back from a concert, and I was sober, thank God. But a lot of people down on Broadway, they go specifically to just get trashed. It's like Vegas. Like people go just to like go get drunk and have a like honky tonk good time, which like you should feel totally safe to do that with your friends. It's bachelorette weekend, whatever, you know? Um, but there's like a ton of cabs that park on Broadway. Some maybe are legit, but I have had a few friends, like personal friends, that they did the same thing. They like just whipped around and just started driving in the wrong direction. And that was what happened to me. I asked the cab, I was like, hey, what's the rate going to this area of Nashville? Because that's where I'm going. Then he said a rate, and I was like, oh, too much. And then he gave me a different rate, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Plugs in the address, gets almost there, and was like, this isn't blah blah blah, like you try to scam me, blah, whips the car around with my guy friend here. So it's like not, and I'm just like, I opened the cab door. I opened the cab door, and he was like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I'm like, yes, like I am crazy. I'll jump out of this car.
Yeah.
Goes
Damn.
out, and like we get out, and he was like, you have to pay me. And I was like, I'm not paying you for almost trying to kidnap me. And he called me a B word and went away. And I was like, I was a local, and like it's not like it's a foreign country. Like you have to be very aware.
Uh-huh.
Like the only good thing, I mean, Uber and like all that, like those rideshare apps, say what you want about them, but at least there's like some sort of vetting process, you know?
Yeah.
Like cabs nowadays, you have to be so specific. Like even you're in New York City, that's connected like to Uber or whatever their app is. Like whenever I call
Mhm.
an Uber, sometimes I'll get a cab in New York, New York City, you know?
Yep.
So it's like
Yeah.
really do that research before, especially if you are a like solo female traveler. Like it is so
Mhm.
important to like understand like
Mhm.
if this is a place where cabs will rip you off, or what if Uber exists. For example, Peros, Greece, there's no Uber, there's only cabs. So it's like just knowing those things
Mhm.
ahead of time and doing your research before you go, and
Mhm.
asking your local host. Like I always swear by ask your local host.
That's smart. Okay. Good to know. But yeah, the safety obviously, and New York City and Mexico, I mean, those have been, I guess, not bookmarked. I don't know what's a good term to put, but like as like where people get abducted, that happens all the time. I think New York City is like the biggest area for that. For yeah, so that's scary. But yeah, I always drive, not drive. I always take lifts. I don't know why. I just kind of picked Lyft over Uber. But I like how they always show the license plate and the person and their, I've never had a scary experience. I've had one guy drive like a bat out of hell, and I thought I was gonna die, which was scary. And then I've had another guy was like on his phone the entire time, like while driving. And I'm like looking
Yeah.
back, I'm like, why didn't I say something? But I was like, 20 or something, like too scared to say anything. But now I'm like, I definitely should have said something now. Cause like
Yeah.
when I'm in the car, it's like one of my pet peeves, and someone's on their phone and driving, I can't stand it. I'm like, do you want to kill us? That's what I think, literally.
Oh my God. So insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like something that I don't know, some of my friends or like just people like will be taking like Ubers and they will get into the car and they'll be like, "Oh, is this for Allie?" And it's like, "No, don't say that. Don't like
Don't
then
say
oh
that.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
say,
Check the license plate.
who are you
Make
picking
sure
up
they say
for?
your
Make
name,
them give
say
you
their
your
name.
name." Yeah, check the plate. I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys are dumb as fuck." I'm like, "Really? Really?" Like my mom and my sister are in Cape Town right now for a wedding. And I was on FaceTime with them, and my sister goes, "Oh, for Kate?" And I go, "You're dumb as fuck." And she goes, "What?" And I was like, "Why? Don't say that." Like, she did check the license plate, which she is good about, like, because she has been to 5 continents, and I think she has, I forget what the number is. Like, she like has it on her Instagram, 32 countries, well, 33 countries now.
That's
But
Wow.
I'm
amazing.
like, you are like a smart
Sweet.
person. Like, why do you do that when you like go into an Uber? And she's like,
Yeah.
well, I check the license plate. And I'm like, fair enough. But also, like, I feel like people sometimes use Uber as like, well, it's safe. Like, they monitor the app, but like, you could also get into the wrong car or like, you never know. So I'm just
Mhm.
like, just take that extra step and just be like, check license plate, but also like, who are you picking up for? And don't say for Allie. Like, no,
She
like,
might as
come
well be
on.
like, for Kate, traveling alone, going to a
No,
Yeah.
place by myself.
Hello.
she is extremely uh she is extremely smart and savvy, but sometimes I think we all have moments where we're feeling like safe in a place and you kind of maybe
Mhm.
you let your guard down a little bit and then it's
Mhm.
just like,
Mhm.
girl, like just, don't like you just take a little extra effort, turn it on a little bit. But it's so cool. I feel like you and my sister have a lot in common, like the things you're
Sounds
talking
like
about,
it.
just like your passion. It's so cool because not everybody can truthfully like do what you're doing. Like they don't have the tenacity. They don't have the courage because it's a
That
lot.
word was on my head. I'm sorry. I was like, the tenacity. And then you said it. I was like, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, I got you. I'm
Yeah.
reading your mind. But it's just
It's
so
definitely
cool.
something that like is so heavy in my comments. People are like, "You're so brave." I'm like, I'm not brave. I'm doing it scared. That's like my favorite
Do it
quote. I'm like, do
scared.
it scared. Like if
Mhm.
you want to go do something, do it
Do it scared.
scared. Like I think I'm
Mhm.
very lucky that I did it
Yeah.
scared so early in life. Like when I jumped
Right.
to do the
Mhm.
study abroad thing, like I was doing it scared. Like and I was
Mhm.
just like, you know what? I don't have a choice. I've gone too far now, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the more you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, like getting out of your comfort
Yep.
zone, going to eat lunch alone is
Yeah.
something that I'm surprised. I was surprised to come back to the United States, back to college at the time, and like a lot of people didn't feel comfortable just like going to get lunch by themselves. And there's just small stuff, like the more that you, if there's something that you want to do, but it makes you nervous, really look at like, okay, what's making me nervous? Is it just because I don't know like how this is gonna go,
Mhm.
or is
Yeah.
there something else there? But I think doing it scared is the best thing you can do for yourself, and it's something that I think will make you not only like very independent, but also very successful because successful people have to do things they don't know about all the time. You know,
Yeah.
like you have to figure
Mhm.
it out. If it fails, you fail fast and you move on and you figure it out. And I think that's like one of the best lessons I've learned in life, and hopefully a lesson I can spread to others of like, hey, if I can do it, because I'm nothing special. I'm a small town girly. Like I'm not anything,
Yeah.
you know, like if I can do it and you really want this for yourself, whether it's travel, whether it's going back to school, like it doesn't really matter what it's applying to. Like go find someone that's doing the same thing that's like maybe just like a year older than you or like one step ahead of you and just like look at them and be like, you know what, that's my example. If they can do it, I can do it. Like
Mhm.
that's actually how I felt really comfortable to start, or not comfortable, but like it helped me kind of along my journey of starting to travel for full time the first time I did it. And I think because I had someone on social media who I found that was like a little bit older than me, and she was like living in Bali, and I was like, that is so cool. I was just like felt so much more comfortable to like take that leap by
Mhm.
myself, you know? I'm
Mhm.
Yeah,
so sorry. Second, but I have a do not disturb on my
it's okay.
It's okay.
Um, but I think it is just so this relates back to like what Maddie and I do with our clients and business. Like you have to do shit scared sometimes and
Mhm.
be okay with the outcome because not everything is going to have this fantastic outcome and it's going to be all great like in any category, right? And like whether it's like a relationship, traveling, your career, etc. Like it might not be what you envision at first, but that's okay because you're watching somebody else who might be 10 steps ahead of you and you're wanting what they have, but you got to start from where they also started. And you can even skip a couple of those steps because people watching you now they don't have to have these growing pains of what you experience. They can watch you take some of the tips and be skip a couple of those steps. They can expedite that experience. And I think that's just like an awesome thing about like creating content. And you said like taking content seriously. Like I don't know if that like is silly or if it's just like seems weird, but like genuinely it's what we do. We all are sitting here and we have to take content seriously because we want to reach people who want to accomplish what we have accomplished. And that's an amazing thing about social media and creating content that we get to connect and teach things in a way that feels fun and light and like silly. And that's awesome. Like we get to do that. That's so cool.
that is like you are saying what I love to preach, especially around content creation. Because I get asked sometimes, people are like, I think it's so cool that you travel. I think it's so cool that you create content. Like, how did you start like doing all of
Yeah.
that? Like, I would love to start doing that, but I don't even know where to start. And the best, it wasn't even advice because I had already started doing this, but I hadn't realized I started doing this. But the best advice I can give is create content for the younger you, because someone is
Mhm.
feeling exactly how you felt. So for me, that was feeling very stuck, feeling like, oh, I'm a college student. I am poor. I do not got the money for this, but I want to go. Um, and so someone's felt the way younger you felt. So creating content for that younger you. And I think that also like paired with doing it scared is such a magical recipe because for example, like when I kind of started creating content, actually with my first video, I definitely felt like people were gonna make fun of me, especially because I was coming from like Influencer Central. I was coming from Los Angeles, and I was a part of
Mhm.
a friend group who we made fun of influencers. Like at the time, I didn't get it. The
Yep.
people that you met out at the bars that were influencers, very particular. And it wasn't, didn't see that in me. And now it's just like I realize like one, if you want to do something, the people that are negative towards what you want to do and are making fun of you for what you want to do, look at those people and ask yourself like, do I want to be in their shoes? Because odds are
Yup.
Mhm.
what they're doing is not what you
100%.
want to be doing
Yeah,
anyway.
you're
So,
like,
like, are you
nope.
listening? Which is so like easier said than done. Because like I had really good friends, people I still value to this day, that are now like so on board with it and whatever. But like initially we're just like, okay, Maddie, like, um, and yeah, so like the doing it scared, because yeah, people, everyone goes through that journey as a creator of like starting at nowhere and having to like build something and in front of like everyone, not in it's not even the
Mm-hmm.
public. I think none of us are really actually worried about the public. It's more about like people we know judging
Yeah.
us.
Yep.
We all have gone through that. I mean, I think my parents recently understand now what I do and the impact that I do,
Yeah.
like it's everyone has to start there. And I think like I love to like take it back, and even now that I am established as a creator, I'm established as a traveler, there's still things that I do that make me uncomfortable, or I'm starting from ground zero. For example, like I just started like my YouTube channel. I have like 22 followers. Like, and that's okay. Because I've done the start from scratch before, and you can do it
Mhm.
again. And I think the more you prove that you can start something and take it to wherever you take it, and you kind of look back on those examples in your own life of where you started from scratch and had to build something, or had to like kind of you started leaning into a certain lifestyle, you'll get more and more confident of like
Mhm.
proof in point that you were able, so it gets a lot less scary if you're able to look at your own like resiliency, if you will.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you
Yeah.
have your own history and data to back up that I can do this. And
Yeah, other people
yeah,
did
that's
it.
awesome.
Why can't I
Yeah,
do it?
you're like, I did it already. Like I can do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Yeah, why
exactly.
not? There was a
Mhm.
random thing I wanted to ask, because I end up on like travel TikTok all the time because like
Love
that's
it.
one of like my many passions is traveling too. And I can't remember what the girl's name was, but she was showing how she travels by pitching herself to Airbnbs, to hotels, to whoever, making content for them that they post, and then she's getting
Oh.
in return, right, a free room, at the hotel. Is that something you have done or have ventured into? Yeah. And is that like,
Yeah,
do you have to have a
it
big
is.
following to do
It's something
that?
I can.
Sorry, go ahead.
You do not have need to have a big. No, you're sorry. I think it's my internet connection. I'm sorry. Costa Rica is
That's
not
good.
liking me. Um, no, I think so. It's something that I have done. Something I
Mhm,
could probably do better. It is not
mhm,
something you need a large following for. It is something you need a portfolio for.
Right.
And
mhm,
I think it really. So one thing to think about, and I'm very lucky. I started my career in software sales. So I started my career making cold calls and getting told to F off like regularly. Um, and so that's kind of what you're doing. You're pitching and you might
mhm,
send 20 emails and not hear a single thing back. But you might send 20
mhm,
emails and hear like from two hotels and be like, heck yeah, like let's make this happen. Um, for smaller creators, as far as like building your portfolio, whenever you travel, take photos of the property, take photos like lifestyle, just create a little like proof of concept of what you can offer.
Yeah.
Um,
mhm,
there's a really big world that is user generated content or
mhm,
UGC. And there's so much money in that. You don't have to be super public facing if that's not something you're interested in. Like if you don't want to build your own channel, or maybe you're feeling a little nervous about it, you can still work with brands, as long as you can show the type of quality that you can create. And it might take practice, but it's something that like I always will go and like photograph everything about the property, even if I'm staying there and not like getting paid or like getting a free stay out of it. And because you can always also go back to them and be like, hey, I took all of this imagery, like I'm happy to sell it for you for your usage if you'd like. It's a
Yeah.
great way to make some revenue.
That's a good point.
It's kind of like a backup play, but that's a really good start.
that
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so it just depends. I think if you reach out with a vision, again, like I could be a lot better about it, but I also just like get it in my head what I want to be doing and where I want to be going, and then it's usually a little too, you want to kind of do this like at least a month in advance or more.
Yeah.
So I just kind of run out of time. But yeah, there's a lot of there's just so many properties. There's so much going on in the hospitality industry. Like the travel industry, I think
Mhm,
is like the first or second biggest industry in the United States right now. Like there's so much money in it. There's like so much need for good quality marketing materials.
Hmm.
And a lot of these companies would much rather just buy your, photos, videos,
mhm,
whatever you're willing to off of you, rather than hiring a whole media team that's going to cost them thousands of
mhm,
dollars. And it'd be like this whole thing just for like a few posts that they want to do on social. So there's,
Right.
I think, I recommend build your portfolio. definitely pitch. Get comfortable with pitching, practicing pitching. Use ChatGPT for pitching. Because like if you don't know how, just literally ask ChatGPT. It's the best. And then also on the back end, try to like see if those hotels, those experiences, those businesses have any interest in buying maybe some of your footage or some of your photos that you could even just take with your iPhone.
That
Yeah.
is so smart. I did
Literally.
literally I did when we were in Italy, I think I did a couple of like places we stayed in Italy or our Airbnb. And like I got so many saves and like, where is this exactly? Like, and I didn't do it. I just put it on my Instagram, but
Right.
I feel like I have so many like side quests that I want to do. Like I can't do them all.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
never
I think
even
that's
thought
a
of
really
doing that though. That's like such a genius thing. Like you're already there. You're already taking pictures.
Yeah.
Just that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I
Wow.
just did like a walkthrough and I just showed what it looked like. And I love like I'll do that like whenever I'm I keep saying next year. We were just talking about this before you got here, but for Christmas of 2025, I want to be abroad for a couple months. I don't know where yet, but
thing.
where was I going with this? I can't remember.
Taking videos, you'll take pictures when you go.
Yes, like, "Oh, here's where I stayed," or "Here's, where I did this," and I'm like, "I wonder if I could reach out to that Airbnb or reach out to them via their website and for do something like that, to where it's like I'm not having to pay to stay somewhere. Now I can kinda use my content to do that."
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, as long as you're able to like get ahead of it, like start pitching over a month in advance is my recommendation if you're going to do that.
Mm,
Sometimes people are
good
like
to know.
super on the fly and chill with it, but it's
Yeah.
just there's the time in the research, there's time in creating the pitch, sending it off, follow up. Don't just send one email and think they're going to reply to you. They have a million emails coming to that info box. So like make sure you are like
Mhm.
following up at least two, three, four, five, six, seven times. I don't know, like whatever,
Yeah,
like if
yeah,
you
a
really
lot.
want
Follow
something
up. It
there,
is we
be
always
annoying.
yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, on like
yep.
we always we know Maddie and I's text thread is always we are like yep, just all right, send follow-up messages, send follow-up messages, send follow-up message because it would be so silly to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, I sent back that person a message and they haven't heard back. I haven't gotten back. It's been a week." It's like, "Okay, people have things going on." Like,
Mhm,
Yeah.
to be diligent.
mhm.
Yeah, you're
The
you're in sales at that point. Like you really
Yeah.
are. So like
Oh
everyone's
yeah.
getting whether it's from a creative perspective or someone wanting to boost their CRM with leads. I don't know, I get that message all the time with my work. Like I get like bombarded at work with sales
Yeah.
messages and it doesn't really matter who
Mhm.
it's from. So if you can show that you're like consistent, maybe a little creative, use amazing subject line. Make it
Yup.
like
Oh,
sorry,
I've
but like
I've
the
gotten some good subject
Madison
lines in
Rolley
my
X
day.
brand does not work. I'm sorry, it
Nope.
just does not. Like what I do, and I'll give you my subject line right now. And I think it's a really good one. And this is also what I use to like
Cool.
co-pitch me and another travel creator who I travel with. Actually, I'm meeting her in Guatemala next week. Shelby. Shelby Reach
Mhm.
Travel, love her, plugging her. But I always say like X amount, and this is helpful from like a greater lens, but I say like 700,000 eyes on this brand. You're gonna
Mm,
open that email, that's for but like there's
Oh,
just so many different ways
wow.
that you can like twist a subject,
yep.
make it interesting of like, you know, like United States, like United States travel, like, tourist eyes on this location.
Yep.
Or
Oh,
um
smart.
there's a ton of ways you can do it, but like for example, like yeah, if your audience is um United States, or maybe if it's like specifically Gen Z audience,
Yep.
brands love Gen Z as a consumer base. Like so it's
Yep.
like Gen Z eyes
Oh,
on X
good
brand.
to know.
Yeah, just like make it interesting. Think about like,
Mhm,
okay, what would this brand actually want? Like what is their goal with working with me?
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Care more about like their lens than like what you're trying to sell. And that's
Right.
the best sales advice anyone can give you. It's all about what they need, not
Mhm,
about what you need. Plug what
Yeah.
you need as a
mhm.
solution, but like think what are they trying, what problem are they trying to solve? Who are they trying to make sure their product is being pushed in front of? That sort of thing.
Mm. Really quick because it's funny. I don't know if you watch a lot of like real estate agent like drama shows at all. Yeah, she knows what I'm gonna say.
Not drama shows, but I
Okay,
watch.
but yeah, real estate reality TV. So the one guy in New York
Yeah.
City, Ryan, I don't know what his last name is, but
Oh,
he
I
was on
know,
like
I love his content.
l-
Yeah.
love his content. This has
Love
stuck
it.
in my brain for the rest of my life. He was talking, someone asked him a question on TikTok and they're like, how many times do you follow up with a lead? And he was
Yeah.
like, until they're dead. And that never left my brain. I'm like, until
Until
they're
I'm
dead.
blocked or they're dead, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
literally. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, because the sale is in the follow-up. I don't
Yes.
care if my messages are me, and I'm scrolling, and I'm scrolling, and I'm scrolling, and I'm scrolling. People answer. They are not,
Mhm.
they are, when they are ready to answer, they will answer. And those have been some of the
Mhm.
best clients that I have had
Yeah.
because they were like, I wasn't ready until I was ready. And now here I am, and we're doing the damn
Yeah.
thing. And honestly, you gotta be like what we were talking about, not afraid to put yourself out there and then be shameless because you know you're worth whatever you're putting out there, right? Like
Yeah.
you have experience, you have a background. If you're pitching yourself to different things, you know you're worth it. Put
Mhm.
yourself out there, keep the follow up. I think a lot of us are afraid to put ourselves out there and be vulnerable. And that's why you're not doing what you see other people doing and you're like, oh, I wish that could be me. It can be you. It 100%
Mhm.
can be you. You just have to be
Mhm.
willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah. And I think another thing, like, sorry, I'm going on like a whole sales tangent
No, I
really.
love this. This
Oh,
is
you're
great.
fine. We love sales.
I work for like in B2B marketing. That's like my 9 to 5. So it's like I have both lenses. So like I have
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
marketing and I have like selling to businesses, all of it. But yeah, not afraid of the follow-up, not afraid to put yourself out there. But one thing I personally struggle with, which is like really funny because of my sales background and stuff, I hate feeling salesy. I struggle with
Mm.
it so much. I personally like in my videos in like know what the value that they're going to get. I think because I hate being sold to, like and knowing I'm being sold to. So I hate doing it. So one thing that I've found really successful in pitching and also in my call to actions, that actually convert is like not having a super harsh CTA. So for
Hmm.
example, when I'm pitching, if I'm gonna be like say in a certain location, I will try like for example, like I would just send out a whole bunch of pitches to PR companies in New York for while I'm gonna be there. And I'm not pitching, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be in town. Would love to help you with whatever projects, but also I'd love to get a coffee and just like introduce myself. Because the relationship there is gonna
Yep.
be a lot
Mhm.
more like long-term value. And it
Mhm.
doesn't feel as salesy to me because I'm like, oh, just meeting for a coffee. Nothing comes of
Yeah.
it, fine, but at least we have the um, and then also same thing with my content, and you'll probably if you'll go back and see this when I'm saying my CTAs, because one, I love to connect with my community. I want it to be so just like we're just chatting and I'm only here to help you. And if you want to like buy into me more, awesome, here you go. Um, but like I only like give these CTAs that are like, if you want, also, if you want my like you can get my like one thing I'm promoting right now is my 2025 Travel More Hub, which says like all the resources to help you travel more in 2025. I share what it is. I'm like, so that's in my bio if you want. I'm not like you need to go get this right now, like because that just seems too harsh to me. Or for example,
Mhm.
like a lot of ways I drive people from TikTok to Instagram. I'll be like, also I post like every single deal I find every single day in my story, so make sure we're connected over there. Like
Yeah.
super
Mhm.
casual, super like not just like I'm selling you something or you need to go follow me. Like that just feels icky and I think people are really tired of it. So
Mhm.
being consistent with CTAs or pitching and replies, but also trying to be casual and like a little bit more yourself, I think people appreciate a lot more than like a super hard pitch. Because what you're
Mhm.
pitching might not be what they need or want, but if you're a
Mhm.
little bit more flexible, a little bit more casual with your language, they might actually be client and like look you up a little bit more and then buy something completely different. I don't know how to explain that, but it's just a little
Mhm.
bit fresher. That's how I like being able to, so that's how I sell. something keep in back in your mind if you like really hate feeling salesy, because that's just like how I approach it. And it's something that I've
Mhm.
loved figuring out for myself in this like last year, honestly. So
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's doing what feels best to you, you know? And if it doesn't feel in a line to do that, like I don't think anyone is like, you have to do it that way. I think it's just what feels best for you in that. Which I think makes your content more of you, right? Because not
Yeah.
everyone's if we all had the same kind of content, we would all look, just like how every girl kind of looks the same at like some age because we're all following the same outfit pattern. And there's no like
yeah,
individuality. So like I think it's the same thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
like
But
the sorry, I was just gonna
go
add a
ahead.
visual. I need to add a visual for you guys. It's the Han Solo of it all when bitches were wearing the white long sleeve, a little vest, skinny jeans, boots. Like everybody was wearing it in college. It was like the fall outfit. Everybody
mhm.
had it. And so if you don't want to be that, if you're out here trying to do like what Maddie does for traveling and the content she's creating, think about those things. Like Maddie Martinez, I got two Maddies here. I see you're probably preferring to be called Maddie as well, so I'm going to do that. But we, when we're creating content, when we're doing these things, like we're trying to think outside the box because like no one wants to like be that picture of like the Han Solo girl in the fall. Like my
Yes.
fiance who is like so not clued in to like social media really like like very passive doesn't know what's going on, he'll send me those things and he's like haha yeah every girl out here is like wearing these outfits like he knows about it,
Especially where you live.
especially where I live. Oh god, yeah.
That's
But I'm like
hilarious.
Yeah.
we just like I love that you sell in a way that makes it fun for you, you're doing things that are you because that's authentic, that's what we need more of, the authenticity.
Mhm. Mhm. And before we go, because I feel like
Yeah,
we don't wanna take
yeah,
too
and
much
I
of your
think
time.
For
Oh,
lunch. Sorry, you it's lagging
it's
slightly, but you're like you're good for the most part, and then it'll hit a little lags. What were you gonna say?
no, I just like it just like makes it more fun. Like to be
Yes.
authentic
yeah.
to you, it feels so much better to create and to sell whatever you're selling,
Mhm.
connect with your community. It feels a lot less like work. Like that's all I gotta say.
Mhm.
Like content creation's a lot of it, there's like a lot of work. There's a lot going into it. But like if you really enjoy it, if you love who you're serving and like it's coming from a place of like I just want to help and I want to do it in a way that's just like me and if people like it cool, if not whatever, like it feels so much better to create. It just feels so much more fun and like free and creative and it's
Yeah.
also a way that you avoid burnout, quite frankly, as a creator.
Mhm.
Yep.
No, I agree
Absolutely.
with that.
Absolutely.
Where can, our listeners find you and what you said you have something right now that, you're pitching, not really pitching, but you're, giving away, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think I gave you my Hoobie link. I think that's probably the best, but you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Threads. I need to be better about posting on there, but that's all at Madison Raleigh. My new YouTube channel is at Madison Raleigh Travel because 13-year-old self stole my own
No.
username from me and I can't figure out.
That's so funny.
Might be going back. We'll figure it out eventually. But right
That
now
is iconic, not you
That is.
stealing from yourself.
yeah, I literally sold it myself. Can't figure it out. And then yeah, and then if the link, I'm not sure if you'll have it in the show notes,
Yep,
but
we'll
Yeah,
put
we
I
everything
will.
in
have
the
a
show
bunch of
notes.
different resources in that link, and that's kind of where you're gonna always find all of my resources. Right now, I have the 2025 Travel More Hub that is inclusive of a 30-day course that like really breaks down anything from like smart travel foundations to traveling with points to finding those cheap flights and stays, like free stays, kind of all of that. And then also little hubs with all the resources that you would need to support that content. So that's gonna be, yeah, in my Hoobie as well as like a lot of other resources that you guys can go peruse. I won't like take up your whole day talking about it, but
No,
a
it's
lot of really
fine.
exciting
No.
stuff that I've been loving creating for you.
Awesome. No, I am so glad we got to talk because we've been kind of messaging on and off on I almost said Twitter, not Twitter, on TikTok.
Mhm.
But this was so fun. I had fun. Allie, did you have fun?
Yeah.
You're on
Yeah.
Twitter, so definitely
I love it. I love it. And I think it's so refreshing because we talk to a lot of women about their passions and the things that they're doing, their careers, and just to like hear from somebody else, somebody like brand new about the things that you're passionate, what you're doing, how you got started, and like doing things scared and believing in yourself. It's just such an empowering message for our listeners to hear and just women in general. Like you're not stuck doing this one thing. You actually have so much at your fingertips, and this is you providing the resource to give people this opportunity. So this was such an awesome conversation. I feel energized.
But we will, you don't have to get off right away. We will.
I love that. Yeah, it's like I
Uh,
don't need a cup of coffee. I just need a good conversation.
yes. But
Honestly,
All
just
right,
a good
guys.
chat with the girls and we're good.
Yeah, literally.
literally. But again, so great to talk to you, and you can stay on when we end this. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching a Kind of Hot, Kind of Healthy. Please make sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, share this with your girlfriend who wants to travel. Make sure she sees this. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere where you can stream podcasts. If you have a burning question about life, friendship, and health, and 1 or 2 cents, email us at kindahotpod@gmail.com. That's KINDAHOTPOD@gmail.com. Bye.
Bye.